So Kanye West, Candace Owens, and drink champs may be sued by the Floyd family for spreading lies and misinformation. Let's take a look. TMZ is reporting George Floyd, Candace Owens, drink champs could be pulled into a $250 million lawsuit. Daughter is traumatized. Here is the story. There may be more people who have to answer for what Kanye West said about George Floyd. Candace Owens, N.O.R.E, and Diddy's Revolt TV could soon be in the legal hot seat too. The legal team representing Floyd's daughter, Gianna, tells TMZ any and all possible defendants are on the table as they continue to explore their options and what will be a mega lawsuit regarding comments made on Drink Champs. So let's listen to the attorneys lay it out.
All cards are on the table for us. We're evaluating any and all defendants who have benefited from, continue to benefit from financially, in fact, the use of George Floyd's name and likeness. And that continues to happen in the future, right? So that documentary was put out. There are funds associated with that, and there are blatant falsities that have been spewed as a result of the documentary and Kanye West comments.
We're using the term defamation because it has a legal meaning. It means that it's false. And, a lot of free speech people are out there saying, oh, well, you can say whatever you want. And, that's just not true. There are limitations to free speech. We're using the term defamation to describe the lie, describe the lie that he told on Drink Champs. But our claims are rooted in intentional infliction of emotional distress, right? Because he told the lies and how they've impacted Gianna. Those things, they're re-traumatizing George Floyd's daughter. Similar to the people in the Sandy Hook. This is unacceptable. It is illegal. And the misappropriation claim.
So I'm just going to say it. They're not really seeking a defamation lawsuit because essentially you can't defame the dead, right? George Floyd is dead. But they're going for intentional infliction of emotional distress, similar to what happened with Alex Jones. So now Alex Jones was hit with defamation because he was saying that the parents were lying and the first responders were lying. So that defamation was part of his suit. But that was because the allegations were he was defaming people who were still living. He was saying the parents were crisis actors and so forth. There was also the intentional infliction of emotional distress, but that was only kind of received because of the defamation. If you could prove the defamation, you got intentional infliction of emotional distress. So here it seems like George Floyd's family is saying the words defamation, but they're really going after an intentional infliction of emotional distress against the daughter. And they're trying to lay out the fact that Candace Owens and all these other people, by saying these negative things about George Floyd or saying these quote unquote false things about George Floyd, is going to lead to their cause of action. So I don't know how successful they're going to be because, to be honest with you, it doesn't really seem like they have a solid legal footing when it comes to this IIED claim. IIED is intentional infliction of emotional distress. Let's see what else the article says. Maybe there may be more in here, but right now it seems like what they're saying is they're going to sue because you traumatized this young girl. But it's like, well, unless you can prove that the things that they're saying are actually false, then I don't really think you have anything. So we'll see. One of the attorneys, K. Williams, says Candace is an obvious would-be co-defendant, as the remarks Ye made were a direct reflection of some stuff she put out in her documentary, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. Williams says there are blatant lies mentioned in the film. Here's what Kanye said about Chauvin not killing George Floyd.
I watched the George Floyd documentary that Candace Owens put up. One of the things that his two roommates said was, they want a tall guy like me. They want a tall guy like me. And the day when he died, he said a prayer for, 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. He said a prayer for 8 minutes. They hit him with the fentanyl. If you look, the guy's knee wasn't even on his neck like that. When he said mama is his girlfriend. They said he screamed for his mama. Mama was his girlfriend. It's in the documentary. But something that hit me, that fucked me up when I was watching the documentary, and it said, they want a tall guy like me. When I looked at that image of him, this tall black dude with the bald head, he reminded me of somebody else. Who you think he reminded me of?
Virgil.
He reminded me of Virgil. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna cry in front of y'all because that's how they get me, right?
Right.
But I know that we lost him. And I know that this white company, Louis Vuitton, is now making statues of him, like as a martyr. And we don't know why exactly. We say it's cancer.
But I mean, all right. I want to be careful with this subject because.
Wait a second, but tell me, could you even really run this interview? Because Mav didn't run my interview.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They blocked me out. The Jewish media blocked me out. This shit lit, right? I'm lit, right? I'm lit.
So Nuru Weatherspoon, another lawyer on the case, says these comments have re-traumatized Gianna all over again as she is being exposed to the new content. So here's a trailer for Candace Owens' Greatest Lie Ever Sold, what Kanye was just talking about.
So Black Lives Matter released their 990 IRS filings. They collected $80 million. Where is that money?
It's not here. Everything looks worse than it was.
Where have you seen that money impacted throughout the city? So my producer just sent me a link. It is just shocking to me because of how much money was raised to think that where he lived, the bills weren't being covered. Super frustrating, but that's a dead end, so. And here's where it gets really interesting. Ready for some BLM pride? Another $200K went to escorts, BDSM workers, strippers, peep show workers, phone sex operators, and webcam performers. And then at that moment, it became personal. And I thought, not only am I going to say the truth, I am going to scream the truth louder than you can scream the lies.
So the lawyers for George Floyd's daughter notes that while they mentioned suing for defamation in their press release, as we heard them earlier say, the actual suit will be rooted in intentional infliction of emotional distress and misappropriation because you can't legally defame a dead person. Yes! You see, that's why you watch Nate the Lawyer, because that is exactly what I said. You can't defame a dead person. Boom. And Ye didn't mention George Floyd's family. So yes, they're defaming the dead person. Now, it's interesting because let's say they said something about one of the cops that were there. One of the cops stabbed him or something like that. Then that cop would probably have a defamation lawsuit because he's still alive. So it's interesting, but they're going out to the IED. And another interesting part is that, again, I like to go back to the Sandy Hook example because don't forget, the Sandy Hook kids were already dead. So Jones wasn't charged with defaming them, the children. He was charged with defaming the families because he was saying the families were lying. The families were crisis actors. The families were doing this. Here, Candace Owens is not saying the family's lying. What she's saying is that the situation or there are lies being told by the media and other people. So that's where this is interesting. And I think that's why these lawyers are saying, well, this is not a defamation. Don't think this is going to be a defamation case because legally, I think they know defamation is extremely weak on this particular issue. So both attorneys make it clear it's open season on anyone who perpetrated lies about George Floyd. Candace and Kanye are the clear targets. However, you can also imagine the folks behind Drink Champs and Revolt TV included could be in their crosshairs as well. Now, one final member of the team, attorney Pat Dixon III, gets into even more detail about what exactly Gianna has been going through emotionally, not to mention her mother. Tells us they are going down this road to preserve George's legacy for both him and his family. Now, this is one thing I'll say about the George Floyd thing too. What happened to him was tragic. What happened to him was illegal. He was obviously killed by this officer. You know, no matter how you feel about it, those are just the undisputed facts. They went through a trial, all the evidence was deduced, and at the end of the day, the jury believe the evidence that the prosecution put on and the defense didn't put on a good enough case to get him off. That's essentially what happened. But I disagree with this holding George Floyd out to be some type of saint. I just wholeheartedly disagree. I'm going to say it. I know it's not going to be comfortable to hear, but I'm just going to say it. George Floyd wasn't Malcolm X. He wasn't Martin Luther King. He's not supposed to be associated with those pillars of people who've done a lifetime of service to the Black community, right? John Lewis, pioneer, right? Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, these people's lives were all dedicated to helping Black Americans achieve equality. And George Floyd shouldn't be held in that same regard. What happened to him is crazy. I think his name should still be in the streets. Yes, talk about him, say what happened to him. Never again, right? Never again should this happen to another person like what happened to George Floyd. I'm down with that. But I do want to make it very clear. Them having a statue of George Floyd next to Harriet Tubman, next to Martin Luther King, that offends me a little bit. Just to be clear, George Floyd is famous for being killed by the police in an unjustified manner. That's the story. But George Floyd, the person, is not someone who should be deified. Someone who should be remembered. It should be a story that's remembered so no, it doesn't happen again to other people. But at the end of the day, George Floyd is no Malcolm X. George Floyd is no MLK. And that's just my opinion about the George Floyd thing. Like we said, the suit hasn't been filed yet, but Gianna's lawyers have already signaled an amount of money they want, at least $250 million. FWIW, Revolt TV, has removed the controversial episode in question entirely, and N.O.R.E has attempted to apologize. He went on an apology tour saying he's sorry. Now, how do you guys feel about this? Now, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't think the family has a really great case. I do think, though, that people can have opinions about George Floyd. People say he didn't die this way, Chauvin didn't kill him. That's, essentially that's their opinion, right? People can have varying opinions. Just because Jay's opinion is different than anyone else's opinion, I don't think that's a lawsuit that makes. Now, if he said the family's lying and they're covering stuff up and stuff like that, I think he has a case. But I think the family would have a case, I should say. But right now, from what I'm seeing, I don't think the family has a case. I think they have a PR case, right? But I don't think they have a proper legal case. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know if you think, hey, Nate, you're full of crap. They have a great case, and hopefully we'll see him in court. Maybe you could say they won't. A lot of people are going to be pointing at Alex Jones, but this is a lot different than Alex Jones. Sorry to tell you guys. Let me know in the comment section how you feel. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm out. Peace.